In the Romance languages, the word for water comes from the Latin aqua. No surprises there, of course, the Romance languages descend from Latin. But what is interesting is that Latin aqua sounds little to nothing like its ancient Greek equivalent hydōr. Now, that's not in and of itself unique. There are so many Latin and Greek terms that sound nothing like each other, even when they're cognates. But it turns out that this distinction between the Latin aqua and Greek hydōr has its roots in a history so ancient it makes writing and ancient Rome and ancient Athens themselves appear modern in comparison. And it affects the way you say water today in or whatever Proto-Indo-European language you might speak. Of late, I've been studying Koine Greek, and in a recent lesson, I was introduced to hydōr, water. Now, that pronunciation is more of a Koine Greek pronunciation, at least as best as I can reproduce it after the 1 or 2 lessons I've had so far. It has the alternative form oudos. However, in Attic Greek, the Greek that Plato and Aristotle likely spoke, it would be pronounced as hydōr. And upon hearing that, it was easy to link hydōr to Greek-derived English words like hydration, hydrogen, etc. After doing this and congratulating myself on making this nearly instantaneous link between the Greek and the English, I paused for a moment and noticed something. If we take that Attic Greek pronunciation hydōr and we change that initial aspiration for a voiced labio-velar approximant, w, which is already phonetically similar to the aspirated h, we get hydōr, which sounds suspiciously like water. Coincidence? Well, it was immediately evident that it isn't. English and Greek, I immediately suspected and later confirmed, have cognate terms here, hydōr and water. But that got me thinking, why doesn't Latin aqua seem to be related to either of these? And to find out, we need to go all the way back to Proto-Indo-European, because it seems as though PIE had 2 different words for water. There was wodr and hekwe. Now, that's as best as I understand these words are pronounced. If you know more, please correct me down below. It should come as no surprise to you that Proto-Indo-European isn't my native tongue, and I haven't had much experience either to speak it with other native speakers. Now, what's relevant here is that these 2 words reflect 2 distinct phenomena, 2 distinct ways of experiencing and encountering water. They both refer to the same material substance, H2O, but different aspects of that substance. So it seems as though hekwe refers to flowing, moving water. Now, my suspicion there is it's in fact onomatopoeic. If you think about trying to replicate the sound of a flowing river, it might come out something like hekwe anyway. On the other hand, wodr refers to still, stagnant water, such as might be found in a basin or a pot. And what's particularly interesting about these pairs is that they seem to descend in Proto-European along family lines. Hekwe became Proto-Italic aqua, which then passed into Latin aqua and gave us modern agua, aqua, and even the Romanian apa. Although don't ask me how on earth Romanian evolved from original Latin aqua. That's maybe a video for another day once I become more comfortable in Romanian, or perhaps you know and you can explain to me down in the comments below. It doesn't seem like a very natural change to move from k to p, but perhaps this is actually a feature of Romanian. It would be interesting to know, so please comment if you know more than me there. So much for the one word. But what about wodr in Proto-Indo-European? Well, it seems to have descended firstly into the Proto-Hellenic udor, where in time it became the Attic hydōr and the Koine oudos. It also descended into the Proto-Germanic wator, and in time gave us the Old English water and the modern water. You'll pardon me for today's video being slightly briefer than normal, but when I found out about this in my recent Greek class, I immediately wanted to share this with you all. I must add one disclaimer before I finish, though. I have heard from a reliable friend that there's another YouTuber who's made a video on this particular topic. Jackson Crawford, the excellent specialist in Old Norse, was mentioned as the likely creator of this video. Unfortunately, I've not had a chance to look through either his content or the content of any other potential creator on this platform who's already discussed what I've just shared with you. So I do beg your pardon if it's the case that I've simply here reinvented the wheel with content out there. It wasn't my intention at all. Nonetheless, to right any potential wrong here, I would like to recommend that you check out Jackson Crawford's channel if by any chance you haven't already heard of it before finding out about my channel, which I find unlikely. But if that is the case, check out Jackson Crawford's work. He is erudite, knowledgeable, and has a very engaging mode of presentation. One final thing, though, before I sign off. You will have noticed that of late, our video schedule has been a little bit erratic. Both Lesedi and I have several other pressing projects that we have to attend to at the moment, and this has meant that our usual schedule of publishing twice a week is no longer viable. And so I wanted to ask you, the audience, what you would prefer. If I'm only able to put out one video a week on this channel, would you prefer to have it on a Wednesday evening, a Friday evening, or a Saturday evening? What fits your viewing preferences best? I'd like to know so that I can schedule and plan my videos around what you are most likely to watch and prefer. As always, I will thank you for watching this. Let me know in your preference in the comments below, and I'll also maybe send a post to our channel where you can vote. And I hope to see you in the next video. Valete omnes.